Welcome back to AI Explained. Today we're diving deep into something that's making waves in the AI world. Microsoft's Phi-4. It's a language model, and it's been making headlines. And for good reason.
Yeah, it's really got everyone's attention. It's how accessible Phi-4 is becoming. I mean, it was initially released through Microsoft's Azure AI Foundry. That's a platform for accessing and deploying AI models, but, now it's on Hugging Face. That's a really popular hub for AI
Oh,
developers.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And what makes this so interesting is that Phi-4 is like way smaller compared to these huge models like GPT-4. It's almost like David and Goliath, but in the world of AI.
Yeah, yeah. Good analogy. And that smaller size, it's not a bad thing. It's actually a big advantage. Like, think about it. Large language models, they need a ton of computing power. That means high energy consumption, high costs. But Phi-4 can run on like regular consumer grade hardware.
So this could be a step toward making AI more like sustainable and environmentally friendly.
Absolutely. The lower energy, it means Phi-4 is way greener to run. To give you a sense of it, some estimates say that training a large language model, it can create as much carbon emissions as like 5 cars over their whole lifetime. Phi-4's efficiency, it really cuts that down.
Wow, that's like incredible when you think about it. The impact if smaller models became the standard. But can a small model like Phi-4 actually keep up with the big ones in terms of performance?
It's a good question, and the answer, well, it might surprise you. Phi-4, it's incredibly capable, especially with math. Like, it scored an 80.4 on the math benchmark. That's a test made to see how good a model is at math. And get this, it actually does better than some of the bigger models.
Wow, that's really impressive. So it's both efficient and powerful. What does that kind of math skill mean for the real world?
Oh, tons of possibilities, especially in fields that rely heavily on data and, complex calculations. Think about things like finance, where a model like Phi-4 could, analyze market trends, make predictions, or engineering, where it could help design like more efficient structures or systems.
Yeah, makes sense. Sounds like Phi-4 being good at math could be really useful,
Hmm.
but I'm guessing it can do more than just numbers, right?
You got it. One thing that makes Phi-4 so versatile is that it's been trained on, really carefully curated data sets, specific tasks.
So instead of being good at a lot of things, it's more specialized.
Exactly. It makes Phi-4 really accurate in certain areas. Take, for example, something like autofilling forms. A model trained just for that can be way more accurate and efficient than a general purpose model.
I could see how that would be like super valuable for things like healthcare or customer service, where being accurate and fast is really important.
For sure. Think about healthcare. Phi-4 could help with making personalized treatment plans or going through medical records to look for risks. And in customer service, it could power like chatbots that give quick and accurate answers to common questions, which frees up human agents for the tougher stuff.
Yeah, those are some great examples. It sounds like Phi-4 is showing us that maybe bigger isn't always better with these AI models.
It is. And there's something else about Phi-4 that's getting people excited. Microsoft, they decided to release it under the MIT license.
Okay, gotta admit, that sounds kind of technical. Can you explain it for those of us who aren't tech wizards? What does that actually mean?
It's a big deal. The MIT license, it's an open source license. So developers are free to use it, change it, share Phi-4's code, and there are very few rules. Basically, Microsoft is giving this powerful tool to everyone and saying, hey, go ahead, make something awesome with it.
So it's like they're saying, here's this amazing technology, go and do great things.
Yeah, exactly. And that open approach, it could be a real game changer for AI.
I see why people are excited. What kind of impact do you think this could have on AI development as a whole?
It's tough to predict the future, but, the possibilities are really exciting. Think about it. AI development, it's usually been dominated by these huge tech companies with loads of resources, but this open source model, it levels the playing field. Smaller companies, researchers, independent developers, they can all help AI grow now.
It's like democratizing access to this powerful tech.
Exactly. It also makes people work together more. With open source, developers can build on what others have done, share new ideas, and push the limits of AI together. And you know what? This could lead to way faster development and more different applications than we've ever seen before.
This is really fascinating. It sounds like Phi-4 is more than just another AI. It could change the way we develop AI.
It definitely has that potential. And it makes you wonder, will we start seeing more of these smaller, more efficient models? How will open source change AI development? It's an exciting time to be paying attention to this field.
Yeah, it really is. Thinking about how fast tech changes, it wasn't that long ago that smartphones were like these big bricks that couldn't do much, and now we have like so much power in our pockets. Could we see the same thing with AI, like these smaller, more efficient models becoming the standard?
Oh, it's definitely possible. And if it happens, the implications are huge. Imagine AI not being stuck in big data centers with all that expensive hardware. What if we could use these powerful AI tools in places with, limited resources or where the internet isn't reliable?
That's a really interesting thought.
Yeah.
What are some like real world examples of how this could change things in different industries?
Okay, well, let's take healthcare. Imagine rural clinics and smaller hospitals, the ones that don't always have a lot of money or the best tech. What if they could use the same AI diagnostic tools as those big hospitals in cities?
Yeah, that would be a game changer for like making sure everyone has access to good healthcare.
Absolutely. Or think about education. AI tutors that can give each student a personalized learning experience. It doesn't matter where they live or how much money their family has. This could be especially helpful in places where they need more teachers or where the schools aren't as good.
Wow, those are some really inspiring ideas. It makes you realize that having accessible AI isn't just about technology getting better. It's about like solving some of the world's big problems.
Exactly. And, don't forget about the environmental impact we talked about earlier. If we can get AI to be just as good or even better while using way less energy, well, that's a win-win for everyone, for progress and for the environment.
Speaking of doing AI the right way, I was wondering about the safety measures built into Phi-4. You mentioned earlier about Microsoft using some of Azure AI's content safety tools. Can you tell me more about that?
Sure. One important thing is prompt shields. Basically, they act like a filter. They stop the model from responding to prompts that might create, harmful or biased stuff.
Hmm.
Like if someone tried to use 5.4 to make hateful or discriminatory content, the prompt shield would pick up on that and not let the model respond.
So it's like a built-in safety net to make sure the model is used responsibly.
Exactly. And there's also something that detects and blocks access to protected material. So 5.4 can't be used to make things that, violate copyright or intellectual property rights.
That's good to know. It shows that they're thinking about ethics from the beginning as they build these smaller, more accessible models.
I agree. As AI becomes more common in our lives, it's super important to focus on developing and using it responsibly.
Going back to Phi-4 being open source, are there any like downsides? Are there any risks to making this tech available to everyone?
That's a really important question. One worry is that, people or groups with bad intentions could misuse open source models. Like, imagine someone changing the code to create a version of 5.4 that makes harmful or misleading content.
So it's like any powerful tool, it can be used for good or for bad.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to talk openly about the ethics of AI. We need clear rules and best practices for developing and using AI responsibly. And we need to build a culture of accountability in the AI community.
Yeah, I get that. Sounds like the open source approach has both amazing opportunities and some big responsibilities.
It does, and it'll be really interesting to see how this plays out. Will the benefits of open access outweigh the risks? Will we see a bunch of cool new applications built on 5.4? Time will tell. But it's definitely an exciting time to be watching this happen in AI.
It really is. And I bet this open source approach could lead to like some unexpected and amazing innovations. When you let people experiment and play around, you never know what they'll come up with, right?
Absolutely. That's one of the coolest things about open source. It creates this kind of collective creativity that's hard to find when things are more closed off.
Like,
We might see people use 5.4 in ways we haven't even thought of yet, in areas we wouldn't even think of as being related to AI.
yeah, it's like opening a door to like a whole world of new possibilities.
Mm.
Do you have any ideas of how 5.4 could be used to create something really new and innovative?
It's tough to say for sure, but, let's imagine for a second. Imagine someone using 5.4 to make a tool that can analyze patterns in music, or even create whole new musical pieces. Or what if someone used it to, translate ancient languages or break complex codes?
Those are some really cool ideas. It sounds like the only limit to what 5.4 can do is our imagination.
Yeah, I think you're right. And that's what makes this whole thing so exciting. We're seeing this powerful technology become available to everyone. It's going to be amazing to see what people do with it.
So basically, 5.4 isn't just a smaller, more efficient AI. It could change the way we develop, use, and think about AI.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's all about efficiency, accessibility, and working together. And this story is still being written.
It's definitely a story worth following. And hey, for our listeners, if you want to learn more, we'll put links to all the stuff we talked about, like the math benchmark and the MIT license in the show notes.
Yeah, there's so much info out there. If you want to dig deeper into this AI stuff, it's really fascinating.
So before we finish up, I got to ask, if smaller, more efficient models like Phi-4, if they become like the normal thing,
Yeah.
what advice would you give to businesses and people who want to use these advancements?
That's a good question. Well, first off, I'd say you got to be willing to keep learning. AI is changing so fast, you got to keep up with what's new.
So like be adaptable and don't be afraid to try new tools and stuff.
Exactly. Don't let all the technical words or the, perceived complexity of AI scare you off. There are tons of resources out there online in libraries that can help you get up to speed.
That's good advice. Anything else people should keep in mind?
I'd also say too, like really focus on what problems or challenges AI could help you solve. Don't just use AI for the sake of it. Think about what you want to achieve and how AI can help you get there.
So like be strategic and have a purpose when you use AI.
Yeah, exactly. And don't forget about working together. Connect with other people interested in AI, online communities, local groups, professional organizations. Share what you know, learn from others, explore new ideas together.
That's great advice. It's like two heads are better than one, right? But in this case, it's like a whole bunch of AI enthusiasts all coming together to share ideas and like push the limits of what's possible.
Precisely. And you never know. You might just find the next big thing in AI.
Well, this has been an amazing deep dive into the world of AI. Feels like we just scratched the surface, but it's clear that Phi-4 is just the beginning. It's a really exciting time to be following this, and I'm like so curious to see what happens next.
Oh, I completely agree. The possibilities are endless. And who knows what incredible innovations are coming soon.
A huge thank you to you, our listeners, for joining us on this journey. Hope you found this deep dive informative and hopefully inspiring.
And if you like this, be sure to subscribe to our channel. We'll have more explorations into the world of AI. It's always changing, right?
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep asking those big questions. Goodbye.
Farewell.